Habarigani, my Duga Nadada. This is Elder Abu Amin Ra. My brothers and sisters, I just would like to speak to you for a moment or two on the African Holocaust, the largest Holocaust that's ever been recorded in modern history. My brothers and sisters, this is not a "we suffered more than you" commentary, but it is a projection of reality to touch your mind and bring it back into reality. Sure, the so-called Jews lost approximately 6 million people, perhaps, during the Second World War to the Third Reich in their Holocaust. But my brothers and sisters, I want you to think for one moment here. Now, a lot of white scholars have claimed we lost up to 7 or 8 million people in lives and maybe 35 million to chattel slavery in the USA. But I want you to consider this, my brothers and sisters. Open your third eye and think critically. On the large marches from the interior of Africa to the west coast, to the various castles and ports they had constructed to hold us until the ship arrived to transport our behinds to the Western world. On those treks, we lost many millions over a 400-year period. You must remember they transported them from the interior to the west coast every day of the week for over 400 years, beginning in 1555, a few years after Columbus discovered so-called the Western world, or the United States, or America, whatever you want to call it. My brothers and sisters, on those lost treks, many millions of our people died from starvation, from beatings, from snake bites and animal bites and other cruelties inflicted upon them. Approximately 20 to 30 million lost their lives during these treks 7 days a week for 400 years. Then, my brothers and sisters, some lost their lives on the ships because of rebellions. They were killed. And some jumped overboard of their own accord, because we've always been a people who would rather have died than become slaves. We come from a line of warriors. So, my brothers and sisters, we lost upwards of 60 to 75 million people during the middle passages on those dreadful cargo ships. Many died from starvation. Many died from being killed by the crews and were thrown overboard. Many died from various sicknesses. They were thrown overboard. Many jumped overboard on their own accord. It is estimated by some that we lost approximately 60 millions in the Atlantic Ocean. So, my brothers and sisters, we lost approximately 100 million or more of our ancestors to death, the physical Holocaust that was pronounced upon them and passed upon them. My brothers and sisters, listen to me. Around 40 million survived to become chattel slaves in the United States, throughout the Caribbean, South America, and other places. So my brothers, listen, when they start talking about a Holocaust, can you imagine a Holocaust where 100 million or more people are killed? Well, you don't have to imagine it longer. Now you know. We lost upwards to 100 million African people. The so-called Atlantic slave trade. Now, the Arab slave trade was another thing. They enslaved about 40 million of us, so that means we must have lost 20 million people to the deserts and to the swords of the Arabs. So my brothers and sisters, I want you to understand our loss in human life during our Holocaust that was created by the Arabs in the Arab slave trade, or the Saharan slave trade, or what you want to call it, and the so-called Atlantic slave trade. My brothers and sisters, we must do what we must do for our ancestors. We must take the United States and we must take the Arabs to the world court and charge them with genocide and demand restitution, reparations from all of those who participated in the slave trade at our expense. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is your brother, your elder, Abu Amin Ra, who has nothing to gain by lying and everything to gain by telling the truth. I gain if I tell the truth and keep it simple and plain so that you understand it and lift up our ancestors. I am promised blessings, rewards, guidance from our ancestors. You want to know how I know this? I know this because we are our ancestors. I am our ancestors. You are our ancestors. We are the ancestors who were passed on to us through our parents. And we have passed them on down to our children. So my brothers and sisters, listen. The greatest, largest, most infamous Holocaust that's ever occurred, and the world is aware of it, is the one caused by the so-called Atlantic slave trade, and the other by the Sahara Desert slave trade. So let's come together, put our minds together, unify in strength, go to the world court and ask for our reparations, our healing. And if they do not provide it, we must become parts of the Pan-African movement, develop a Pan-African army, and take what they owe to us, or let them suffer the same fate we suffered. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you understand, my brothers and sisters, say yes. And when you say yes, stand up. And let us come together and join together as one mighty Pan-African race of people and do the right thing. You understand me? Once again, y'all, peace and hotep to you, my Induga, na, dada.